The woman was surprised to discover that her bedmate didn't seem to be her husband. Her husband never snored when he slept, and he never had the habit of asking to share the bed before sleeping. Moreover, her usually proud husband had broken routine today and washed the dishes himself. Naturally, she grew suspicious of him, and her guess was right, because at this point her husband had already been switched with someone else. It turned out the man had died in a car crash yesterday. Coincidentally, the person he collided with shared the same name and surname, but that man with the same name only suffered minor injuries and was fine. Unexpectedly, after death arrived at the hospital, he mistakenly took the soul of the lightly injured man, but seconds later, Death received word that he had taken the wrong soul. However, when the man's soul reached the hospital, he found his own body being cremated. Feeling guilty, Death decided to place him into the body of the Chable with the same name. Meanwhile, the Chable's family was holding the funeral. The mortician, with a grave expression, was helping arrange his appearance. Unexpectedly, at that moment the man's hand twitched. The mortician wanted to tell the family, but in the end was so scared that he fainted. When the Chable sat up inside, everyone present was stunned. Jack had always been harsh with his subordinates, and even treated his wife like a subordinate. Every word he said to his wife was in order, but his wife Lisa was already fed up with such a life, because she had never received a shred of care from her husband. The man with the same name was actually a cook at a small restaurant. Outwardly fierce-looking, he had a humorous and big-hearted personality inside. The family of four wasn't wealthy but lived in a joyful harmony. Such a humorous, harmonious, and devoted soul had suddenly switched into the body of a Chable with a completely opposite character. At this moment, Jack's awakening caused an immediate sensation. Faced with TV stations rushing to report, the doctors couldn't offer any explanation, and the awakened man was just as confused, because he didn't recognize any of these family members before him. Only when he looked in the mirror did he vaguely guess what had happened. So he borrowed the woman's phone and called his wife Lucy. He tearfully told his wife everything he had gone through, but Lucy thought it was a scam and scolded him before hanging up. Soon his childhood friend Carl came to the hospital to visit him. Seeing that Jack didn't recognize him, Carl assumed Jack had amnesia from the crash. The man wanted to leave the hospital quickly to explain to his family, but Lisa told him to wait until he recovered. With no choice, the man did a sexy dance on the spot to prove his body was fine. His wife was completely dumbfounded, unable to believe this was her once arrogant husband. Luckily, with Carl's help, the man eventually escaped the hospital and returned to the place that truly felt familiar. There, he happened to run into Lucy taking out the trash. The man excitedly went up and said he was her husband, and even revealed the little secret that Lucy had a birthmark on her butt. But Lucy, hearing this, thought he was a pervert and grabbed a shovel to teach him a lesson. Hearing the commotion, Carl was also baffled, unable to believe the once high and mighty Jack had such interests. Then Carl took Jack back to the rich man's home. Looking at the unfamiliar wife and two kids before him, the man didn't know how to explain, so he hurried into the bathroom and hid, sitting on the floor crying. After showering, the man went to the bedroom, where Lisa, now in pajamas, walked in. When she opened the wardrobe, she found it stuffed with underwear worn by someone else. Curious, she questioned her husband why it was like that. Unexpectedly, the man said he didn't want to wear other people's